Hi everybody, I'm Pav and thank you for tuning in to my short video on how to survive winter training rides. Now this video is for you if you are hard as nails, hate training indoors and are going to spend the winter outside. Now we're going to teach you and remind you probably exactly how to prepare and survive those winter rides. So this list, I will copy it into the description on in the YouTube channel, and I also it is in the blog if you're watching on the website. So don't worry about having to write anything down. We're going to start with the most obvious one for some. We tend to always get this wrong, and that's where layers. Loads of layers. Like you don't want to be stuck out, wearing a really thick jacket when the day gets quite warm out. It can be surprising. Similarly, you do need to have layers in case, and the more likely reason, because the weather gets even worse, especially if you're in a rainy part of the world like the UK. So yeah, make sure you dress for what the weather's going to be rather than just looking out the window. That's a real typical mistake, especially if you're not starting first thing in the morning. Definitely take layers with you. I'm a big fan of those lightweight rain jackets. They fold up tiny. Take that even if there's no rain forecast, because if it gets cold, those things typically can keep you quite nice and warm. And if worst case, you can always pick up a newspaper or something and stuff in there, insulate yourself with newspaper underneath that jacket too. But honestly, it's a really good little win, and it's not heavy, and it's convenient to put in your jersey pocket too. So, overshoes for me are a massive one. Overshoes and gloves, we're going to do gloves in a minute. But overshoes, getting a very good quality pair of overshoes is going to be really important. Honestly, I don't think I've ever used any that are totally waterproof, especially, when you're wearing cleats or using cleats, those little holes, that at some point you will get water on a very wet day saturating through into your sock. And then, and that for a reason, you do want to have something that is protecting you from the wind, especially if you've got a fancy pair of, breathable shoes. So a really good set of overshoes is going to be important for you to survive the winter. You could even consider doubling up, and also with your socks, definitely look to double up. And, for that reason, you might have a second pair of shoes for the winter, not just because you want to keep your summer shoes nice and clean and looking great and, not broken, but also they could be a little bit bigger, half a size bigger, which would accommodate thicker socks, or even doubled up socks. Gloves. So like I said, for me, the two areas where I get miserable on a cold ride, hands and feet. So gloves are really important. To get a good pair of gloves that you're gonna need to test out. Not like ski gloves will work, because you've got to be able to grip the shifters and the brakes. So getting a cycling specific set of gloves is going to be really important. And again, consider doubling up on really cold days. Worst case, gas stations, petrol stations, get some of the plastic rubber gloves, and the thin ones, put them on, then put your hands in your normal gloves, and that's going to keep them nice and toasty. So something that you're definitely going to want to consider, and given everything we've had with COVID, might seem like a bit of a ball ache, but especially on cold, windy days, you're going to want a face mask on. I'm not talking about one of those disposable ones, maybe something like a buff or anything like that you can pull up over your face. Really cold air, when you're breathing a lot of it, can damage your mouth and give you a sore throat, but also your skin's super sensitive on your face, so you don't want to get it all dried up and damaged just because you're out riding your bike. So having a face mask is something that you might consider if you tend to have sensitive skin or any issues around that area. So obviously, we want to be prepared when we're going out, so you're definitely going to take all the tools you need to fix like a puncture or anything like that. Make sure you take a fully charged phone. Maybe you take some tracking, something like to track you. That can be your phone again, or it could be a separate GPS thingamajig, and money, and just be prepared for the worst. Always prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And I think that especially in winter, it's gonna save you a lot of hassle. Definitely a lot of discomfort, and depending on where you are in the world, it could even save your life. So yeah, money, charged phone, tell people where you're going and plan a sensible route. I'm not just talking about where you're going. Obviously, if it's the risk of ice, you want to be out in the open, so no riding through like enclosed areas like woods or anything like that. But also consider having places where you can stop, so regular like cafes or gas or petrol stations, or even public transport, just in case you do have an issue, you get really cold or whatever it is, you can stop, call for help, or jump on the train and come home. So the last two major ones are just about how you prepare your bike. Definitely look at any adaptations to your bike setup that you can do for winter. These might just include, getting tyres that are more durable. So, as all the crap starts to fall off the trees, you don't want to get a puncture. It's really hard enough to change some punctures when it's the summer and it's warm, but when you've got cold hands and you have to take your gloves off because you can't quite fiddle around with it, you're gonna really start to hate that ride. So durable tyres. Take extra tubes if you need to, and they could be thicker tyres, lower pressures, anything like that. Just have a think about what you can do with your bike in order to make sure that you're a bit more safer on it. Of course, make sure you're very visible. So that is, I would always run a rear flashing light and front light, but avoiding dressing, in dark clothing when it's nighttime. Make sure you're as visible to other road users as possible. And the last little thing as well is that, if you're going to be doing any training or intervals, you might consider warming up indoors first, especially if you do have to, climb a steep hill or do anything like that, even just to do your normal base ride. Last thing your body wants when it's freezing cold is to go from nothing to all out. I mean, you're asking for some challenges there. And that's it. As I said earlier, you can find this full list on my website or in the description of my YouTube channel. Make sure if you think I've missed any, leave me a comment for sure, and I'll include it if I think it's good enough. And likewise, if you think the video has been good, give me a thumbs up, share with your friends, and of course subscribe to my YouTube channel or my mailing list if you want to make sure that you're notified of any further content that is dropped. So thank you. Ride safe throughout this winter, and most of all, enjoy it. I'm Pav, and have an awesome day.